Welcome to the University of Maryland's Human-Computer Interaction Lab. I'm Brian Johnson. Today I'll be demonstrating TreeViz. TreeViz is a powerful tool for visualizing hierarchical and categorical data spaces, possibly containing thousands of items. With TreeViz, you can slash through arbitrarily deep trees, straighten out messy hierarchies, and beautify your unsightly hard disk. Let's have a look. TreeViz is a Macintosh application that works just like other Macintosh applications. Point and click. TreeViz was developed at the University of Maryland in conjunction with Ben Schneiderman and my able colleague on the Sun workstations, David Tureau. I'll be selecting my folder, Brian, on the Macintosh hard drive named North Dome. This progress bar is showing the size of the folder Brian as a percentage of all the space on the entire volume. There are 100 folders and 969 files in the folder Brian. Here we see the same folder, Brian, on the Macintosh desktop. It would be difficult to build an accurate mental model of the content of this folder simply by clicking on windows and opening and closing windows, as there are over 1,000 items in this file hierarchy. Now we'll fill in the details in the Brian folder one level at a time. Here we see the folder Brian. It's 43 megabytes. It's at the root of the hierarchy. This is the path right here. It was created on November 10th, 1992, and last modified today on November 19th, 1992. The colors are representing the type of the file. System files are red, applications are magenta, programming files are brown, archives and hypercard stacks are blue, graphic files are light blue, and text files are green. Files that do not fit into any of these predetermined categories are yellow. Now I'll fill in level 1 of this hierarchy. What we see here is a portrait of the folders at the first level in this hierarchy. As I move across, I can see the size of each folder. The larger folders on the display take up more space. The system folder here is 12 megabytes. This is the largest folder within Brian. What we have here is a relative bar chart going from 0 to 100% of the disk space. Now I will fill in a column chart going from 0 to 100% of the space for each individual folder. You might have noticed that at the first level, there were only folders. At the second level in the hierarchy, now we have files and folders. Within the graphics folder, we see this set of files, and then we see a set of folders. The files always precede the folders, and the files and folders are alphabetized. If we move from this file, MetViz 1192 images and code, out, you'll see the path change as I move out towards the root of the hierarchy. So here I'm on the file, and now I've moved to the MetViz folder, which is 3.5 megabytes approximately, and out to the root drive, which is 43 megabytes. Now we'll go down one more level to level 3. This time we'll be drawing another relative nested bar chart across the screen. You see we're slicing and then dicing and then slicing and dicing again. We call this the slice and dice approach. Now I'll decrease the offset to just 5 pixels. Decreasing the offset allows more space on the display for the leaf nodes, in this case the files. We'll go one more level, and then I'll fill the rest of the hierarchy in. As we see now, most of the hierarchy is filled in. There are very few regions that are deeper than 4 levels. Now I'll fill in the rest of the hierarchy. And we have a 5-pixel nesting offset. That allows us to see the internal nodes and the external nodes, which are the files. So here's a folder, Talks, Papers, which is 4 megabytes, and the files that are within it. If I eliminate the offset or decrease the offset, I see less of the internal structure, but more of the files. The structure of the hierarchy can be inferred from the arrangement of the files. Now that we have the entire file hierarchy on the display, let me point out a few features of this hierarchy. This is my archive folder, Brian:arc, and it contains relatively large files that have been compacted in our permanent storage. Next to that is a directory containing a series of graphics. Next to that is another folder. An interesting feature of this folder is this collection of duplicate files. Closer inspection of these 5 files indicates that they were all applications created at relatively the same time. These are actually variations on the basic TreeViz program that were coded specifically for certain purposes and all vary only slightly. These duplicates, or near duplicates, take up a substantial quantity of my hard disk space. The largest files on this hard disk, though, are the system file here, which is nearly 2 megabytes, and the TreeViz development folder, which here is 4 megabytes. Some other interesting features on this hard drive are entire duplicate sub-hierarchies. Here in the upper right-hand corner of the display, we see an entire collection of new class data and new class demo files. These are new files that are being folded into the TreeViz development, and I have multiple copies of those folders. Let's zoom in on this region now. Here we see 3 near duplicate folders. The newest of these, new class data, contains an application that was built from the set of source code in the same folder. If we look at these two, we see the strikingly similar structure of the folders. It's easy to spot these duplicates. In addition to locating duplicate and redundant structures, TreeViz is also very good for locating anomalies. Here we see the TreeViz code folder. Within this folder, almost all of the files are brown. These indicate programming files. Down here in the lower right-hand corner, we see these anomalies. These files are programming files, but they were created in the Macintosh Programmer's Workshop instead of the ThinkC environment that I normally use. Here's another view of the entire Brian folder. Things are still sized based on their disk usage, but now they're faded based on their modification date, and they have a redundant sound coding for their modification date. Newer files will have a higher pitch tone, older files will have a lower pitch tone. If I move over here through my TreeViz applications, it might be difficult to see on video, but some of these are faded more than others and are newer. If I move across here through the system file, I have a Claris Word Finder Thesaurus that was created in 1989, an older file. And over here in my graphics folder are some clip art files from 1984. Traditional tools let you see the forest in miniature or a few trees. TreeViz lets you see all of the trees in the context of the forest. If an anomalous file jumps out of the bushes, or an unruly herd of folders starts breeding out of control on your disk drive, don't be caught with your eyes closed. Let eons of visual evolution work for you. Wear an interface that fits. I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. Ben Schneiderman, my tree mapping comrade, Dave Toureau, and all of the members of the Human-Computer Interaction Lab for making my life at the University of Maryland so productive and satisfying. Thank you.